Y'all, this story takes place on a Thursday afternoon in Del Rio, Texas. June the 25th, 2026. Just a few days ago. And the sun is sitting high and mean in that big West Texas sky. You know, the kind of sun that turns asphalt into a griddle and makes the air shimmer like a mirage over the highway. Hey, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. Sonic Drive-In on East 10th. It's doing some steady business. Cars pulling in and out. People ordering slushies and cheeseburgers. Kids laughing in the back seats. Hell, it's just another Thursday in a border town where everybody knows everybody. And the pace of life moves slow, very slow. Now, there's a woman named Caroline Peña. Caro, to the people who love her. She's somewhere on that same stretch of road. Caro's 32 years old and a proud mama of 5 beautiful children. The kind of woman whose laugh you can hear from across a parking lot, whose smile makes a stranger feel like an old friend, whose whole life has been built around one single purpose, and that is keeping her baby safe, fed, and loved. And you can't go wrong there, can you? 1:35 p.m., she tries to call her best friend, Christina. But the call goes unanswered. Christina's phone just rings and rings and rings and goes to voicemail. It's nothing. This call, it happens every day, right? Except today, it's everything. Because that missed call, that's the last time Christina Salinas will ever see Caro's name light up her phone. That's the last time she'll have the chance to pick up and say, "Hey girl, what's up?" To hear that laugh one more time. 35 minutes later, at 2:10 in the afternoon, in broad daylight, mind you, on a busy street in the middle of town, Caroline Peña is surrounded. 3 young women, 2 sisters, and a friend. Hell, these girls are barely out of their teens, and they got a knife. What happens next takes less than 2 minutes, but it will echo through Del Rio, Texas for the rest of time. Caro fights. Lord Almighty, does she fight. Even as the blade finds her body, once, twice, again and again, she stands her ground. She doesn't run. She doesn't cower, because that's just who she is. That's who she's always been. A woman who plants her feet and faces whatever is coming. But one of those wounds, it punctured her lung. And there ain't no amount of fight that can fix that. By 9:00 that night, Caroline Caro Peña, mother of 5, builder of villages, the woman with the laugh that could fill a room, is pronounced dead on an operating table in San Antonio, 60 miles from home, all alone. And the 3 women who killed her, one of them had the gall to smile for the cameras when they put the handcuffs on. She freaking smiled, y'all.
Down a dirt road where the pines grow tall, got a tale tonight that'll chill us all. Pull up a chair by the firelight glow. There's secrets in the South that the old folks know. It's DJ Southern Storytelling, come on in.
Okay, y'all, it's time to settle in. Hey, turn them lights down, lock your doors, lock your windows, get comfortable. Or as comfortable as you can get, because this one here, it's going to sit really heavy on your chest. Today we're going to talk about a case that happened 3 days ago. Yes, just 3 days ago. The blood on that sidewalk ain't even fully washed away yet. Flowers at the memorial, and they're still fresh. The candles are still burning. 5 children. 5 kids who range from little ones all the way up to 17. They're now waking up every morning in a world that doesn't have their mama in it anymore. This is the story of Caroline Peña, And I need you to understand something right from the get-go. This ain't a story about a woman who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is not a story about drugs or gangs or some dark underworld that most of us never see. This is a story about a mama. Good mama. A woman who spent her entire adult life, since she was barely more than a child herself, building something beautiful for her babies. And three strangers took it all away in broad daylight on a Thursday afternoon while people were ordering cheeseburgers just 50 feet away. Now, to understand what the world lost on June 25th, 2026, you gotta understand who Caroline Pena was. We're not talking about the facts of her life, the dates and the addresses and all the stats. You gotta understand the spirit that she had, the energy, the force of nature that walked through Del Rio, Texas like a one-woman army of love. Caroline Raquel Peña was born on October the 28th, 1993, right there in Del Rio, Verde County, a border town sitting on the banks of the Rio Grande, where Texas ends and Mexico begins, where the culture is a beautiful collision of both sides, where the food is incredible, and the summers, oh, they're brutal, and the people are tight-knit in that way that only small towns can be. Caro. That's what everybody called her. Caro. She became a mama young, real young, 15 as a matter of fact. The kind of situation that makes a lot of people shake their heads and write you off. Oh, her life is over. She'll never amount to nothing. That girl threw her whole future away. But you know what, y'all? Those people did not know Caro. She enrolled in the Cradles in the Classroom program. It was a support system for teen mamas trying to finish their education. She did finish. She didn't quit. She didn't give up. She showed up every single day with a baby on her hip and a textbook in her hand, and she refused to become a statistic. And then she did it again and again. 5 children, 5 beautiful babies who became the center of her universe. The reason she got up every morning, the fuel that kept her engine running when the world tried to slow her down. Now, 2 of her children, they were autistic, on the spectrum. They needed specialized care, extra attention, extra patience for sure, extra everything. Caro, man, she gave it to them. And not grudgingly, not resentfully, joyfully, because that's who she was, y'all. She didn't see her kids as burdens. She saw them as nothing but blessings that they are. Every single one. Her best friend, Christina Salinas, said something about Caro that I can't get out of my head. She said Caro was a village. Not that she had a village, that she was the village. She was the support system. She was the safety net. She was the one who'd give you her last dollar if you needed it more than she did. She was the one who'd show up at your door with food when you were sick, who'd watch your kids when you had to go to work, who'd sit with you on the phone at 2 a.m. when your heart was breaking and you didn't know how to fix it. And recently, just recently, things have been coming together for Caro in a way that never had before. She'd gotten her own home, her own vehicle, after years of scraping and sacrificing and putting everybody else first. She was finally building something solid under her feet. It was a foundation, a future, not just for her, but for those 5 beautiful babies who depended on her for everything. She was 32 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. She had plans, dreams, a laugh that could fill a room and a heart that could fill a whole city. And on a Thursday afternoon in June, 3 young women decided none of that mattered. All right, let's talk about Del Rio, Texas. Population's about 35,000. It's the kind of town where you wave at people that you've never met, where the high school football games are a community event, and where the churches fill up on every Sunday and the restaurants fill up every Friday and everybody in between. is just trying to make a living and raise their kids right. Now, on East 10th Street is one of the main drags, commercial strip, fast food joints, convenience stores, and little shops. The Sonic Drive-In sits right there in the 800 block, that classic American drive-in with the covered parking stalls and the roller skating car hops and the cherry limeades that taste like summer. It's the kind of place where violence don't belong. The kind of place where you take your kids for ice cream. The kind of place where the worst thing that usually happens is somebody cutting in line, or maybe the car hop trips and falls and drops your food. And if that's the worst thing we have to live with in life, don't we have it made? But on June 25th, 2026 at 2:10 in the afternoon, and that stretch of road became nothing but a crime scene. Now here's what we know. And I want to be honest with you because this case is only 3 days old and the investigation is still really, really active. The police have said the motive is unclear. They haven't released a detailed account of what led to the confrontation. What we know, it comes from witnesses, from community reports, and from the physical evidence. What we know is this. Caroline Peña encountered 3 young women on East 10th Street. Kitty Maya Diaz, age 21, her sister, Amaya Cookie Diaz, age 19, and their associate, Kyandra Renee Foz, age 21. That was 3 against 1. Whether this was a planned ambush or a confrontation that escalated, we don't know for certain yet. What we know is that words were exchanged and then a knife came out and then Caroline Peña, a 5'0" mama who never backed down from anything in her life, was fighting for her life on a public street in the middle of the afternoon in Del Rio, Texas. Y'all work with me a little bit on this because I want you to picture what I'm fixing to tell you. I want you to see it in your mind because I really think it matters. I think it tells you everything you need to know about who Caroline Peña was. She was surrounded. 3 young women, at least one of them has a blade. The situation has gone from words to violence in the span of a heartbeat. That terrible moment when you realize this isn't just an argument anymore. This is totally became survival. And Caro, she doesn't run. She stands her ground. Now, I don't know if she couldn't run or if she wouldn't run. Maybe they had her boxed in. Maybe there was nowhere to go. But I think, based on everything her family and friends have said about her, I don't think she would have run. I think running wasn't in her DNA. I think she spent 32 years facing down every single challenge that life threw at her. Teen motherhood, poverty, single parenthood, raising special needs children. And she never once turned her back, and she wasn't damn going to start now. Witnesses did see her fighting, saw her taking blows and giving them back, saw her standing even as the blood started to flow, even as the wounds multiplied, even as her body started to fail her. Multiple stab wounds, multiple, on a public street in Del Rio, Texas, in broad daylight, while cars drove past and people watched in horror, and the world kept spinning like nothing was wrong. One of those wounds hit her lung. And that's the one. That's the wound that turned a fight into a death sentence. Because once your lung is punctured, the clock starts ticking. Air fills the chest cavity, the lung collapses, breathing becomes impossible. And without immediate expert medical intervention, you will die. Caro went down. And then, thank God, her nephew was there. Or got there somehow in the chaos and the blood and the screaming. Her nephew got her into a vehicle and drove like hell to Verde Regional Medical Center. He broke every speed limit. He ran every light. Did everything a terrified young man could do to save the woman who was part of his village. Well, they made it to the hospital, but the doctors took one look and they knew. This was beyond what they could handle. Caro, she needed a trauma center. She needed surgeons, and she needed a miracle. They called for an airlift, a helicopter. The kind of desperate measure that tells you right there just how bad things are. And they flew her 60 miles to San Antonio. 60 miles away from her children, away from her home, away from everything that she knew. to a hospital where they opened her up and tried to undo what 3 young women had done on a Thursday afternoon. But y'all, some things just cannot be undone. At approximately 9 o'clock that evening, nearly 7 hours after the attack, Caroline Peña was pronounced dead. She was 32 years old and she left behind 5 children. Hey y'all, if the story's pulling you in like I think it is, please consider hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, hype the video, and ring that notification bell so that people in the next county can hear you. While Caro was being airlifted to San Antonio, while her family was praying and crying and bargaining with God, the Rio Police Department was already moving. Y'all know by now this was not a whodunit. This happened in broad daylight on a busy street. There were plenty of witnesses. There were security cameras on every business along that strip. The suspects, they didn't wear masks. They didn't flee the city. They didn't even try to hide. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, less than 2 hours after the stabbing, Kitty Maya Diaz and her sister Amaya Cookie Diaz, they were in handcuffs. Arrested without incident, no chase, no standoff, no trauma. Shortly after, Kyandra Renee Foz was picked up too. 3 young women, 21, 19, and 21, all charged with murder. Here's the detail that has haunted this community. The detail that's been shared thousands of times on social media. The detail that makes people's blood boil and their fists clench. When they were being walked to the patrol cars, when the cameras were rolling and the whole town was watching, one of the suspects smiled. She looked directly into the camera and she smiled. No, not a nervous smile. No, not an involuntary twitch. It was a freaking smile. Like she was posing for a freaking picture. Like this was funny. Like she just done something she was proud of. Ugh, despicable. I've covered a lot of cases, y'all, and I've talked about a lot of killers. And I've seen all kinds of reactions at the moment of arrest. Tears, rage, blank stares, defiance. But a smile, y'all? After you've just stabbed a mother of 5, after you've just taken a woman's life in the middle of the street, like it was nothing. Well, that smile tells you everything you need to know about what we're dealing with here. That smile is the absence of something, the absence of empathy, the absence of humanity, the absence of the basic fundamental understanding that what you just did matters. That the person you just killed was real. That she had children who are never going to see her again. Y'all, that smile is freaking evil. It's just plain and simple. Y'all, I just keep coming back to that phone call. 1:35 p.m., 35 minutes before everything went wrong. Christina Salinas, Caro's best friend, her ride or die, her person, looked down at her phone and saw Caro's name. For whatever reason, she was busy, she was driving, she was in the middle of something she didn't pick up. Now, I want to be very clear about something. That is not Christina's fault. Not even a little bit. We all miss calls. We all say, I'll call him back in a minute. It's the most normal thing in the world. There is no guilt to be bad here, or to be had here. And I really pray that Christina knows that. But I also know, because I'm human, and because I've talked to enough people who have lost someone suddenly, that she's going to replay that moment every single day, every single night. She sees that missed call on her screen and she thinks, what if I'd picked up? What if I had heard something in Caro's voice? What if I could have said something, done something, maybe been there? What if? Those 2 words are probably the cruelest words in the English language. They don't change anything. They don't bring anyone back. They just sit there in your chest like a stone, heavy and cold and permanent. Christina described Caro as the kind of friend who would give you her last dollar, the kind of friend who showed up, The kind of friend who made you feel like you weren't alone in this world, no matter how bad things got. And now Christina has to live in a world without that friend, without that voice on the other end of the line, without that laugh that could fill a room. Because of a missed call, because of 35 minutes, because of 3 strangers with a knife and no conscience. Y'all, as I'm telling you this story, the case is still open. The investigation is ongoing. 3 suspects are behind bars. They haven't been tried yet. They haven't even been convicted yet. The full story, the why of it all, hasn't been told in a courtroom. And those 5 children are still waking up every morning without their mom. I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if there'll be a trial or a plea deal. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand what drove 3 young women to do what they did. I don't know if justice, whatever that word even means in a case like this, will ever feel like enough. But I know this. Caroline Caro Peña lived a life that mattered. No, she wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. She wasn't powerful by any measure that the world usually uses. But Caro was a village. She was the person who showed up, the person who gave her last dollar, the person whose laugh could fill a room, and whose love could fill a lifetime. She was a teenage mama who refused to quit. A woman who earned her own home, her own car, her own independence through years of grinding, sacrifice, putting her children first. She was raising 2 kids with autism with a patience and a joy that most people can never imagine. She was just 32 years old and she was just getting started. And now she's gone because of a knife, because of a street corner, because of 3 young women who decided that whatever they were angry about was worth more than a human life. Y'all, there's a phone somewhere in Del Rio, Texas. And on that phone, there's a missed call. June 25th, 2026, 1:35 p.m. Caro. Christina will never delete it. She'll never clear that notification. Because that missed call is the last thread, the last tiny, fragile connection to a moment when everything was still okay. When Caro was still alive, when the world still made some sense. I think about that call sometimes. I think about what Caro might have said if Christina had picked up. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe she just wanted to chat. Maybe she wanted to vent about her day or ask about dinner plans or tell a joke that would have made Christina laugh so hard she snorted. Or maybe, and this is the thought that keeps me up at night, maybe she was calling because she was scared. Maybe she'd seen those 3 women. Maybe she knew something was wrong. Maybe she was reaching out for help, for backup, or her person. We'll never know. All we know is that phone rang. Nobody answered. 35 minutes later, the world lost a village. For Caroline Caro Raquel Peña, October 28th, 1993 to June 25th, 2026. Mother of 5, builder of villages, gone too soon. Caro, rest easy. Your babies know exactly who you were.